All right, welcome everybody to the Back to School Reading Network and Learn, hosted by the UDL-IRN. We're glad to have you here tonight. We have an excellent group of panelists here this evening, as well as some of our UDL-IRN members here to host the evening. So we're very excited to share with you this group and have them share with you their work. I will be your moderator tonight. My name is Sue Harden. I am the UDL coordinator in Macomb, Michigan. And I'm also on the UDL-IRN Board of Directors and on the Professional Learning Committee, which is what brings me here tonight. So again, we are delighted to have our panelists join us tonight. Here is a sneak peek at who you're going to hear from. We have Thomas J. Tobin. He is the co-author of Reach Everyone, Teach Everyone, Universal Design for Learning and Higher Education. All right, we are going to hand it over to Thomas J. Tobin if you want to get started.
Thank you very much, Sue, and thank you to Brian and Corinne, who are behind the scenes doing the duties for us, monitoring the chat. And I noticed that we had some folks here on the live webinar from Chile, so I'll say bienvenidos a todos, and some folks from Singapore as well, so I'll say selamat datang to all of you as well. And welcome, definitely. This is, you see on the screen, a photograph of me and my co-author, Kirsten Bailing from Tufts University. We decided to write our book as a guide for everybody in higher education because we Kirsten on the disability services side and I on the faculty development side, over the past many years, we have been seeing really excellent examples of campuses who get it, who are moving from compliance to culture to commitment. And we wanted to share their stories. And also we had some ideas of our own. So there's a lot of good theory in the book that you're going to see. And I want to give you a sort of Super 7 overview of what you're going to find in the book. And if you could move to the next slide, we'll talk about these big themes and the stories and the core skills. The first one is everybody talks about accessibility. And in many people's minds, when you're talking to a president, a provost, a campus leader, a department chair, when you say accessibility, they make a mental mistake and they think about people with disabilities. Now, all of us on this webinar, we know that Universal Design for Learning is a framework that goes way beyond disabilities and helps us to lower barriers for all of our learners. And so we take the word accessibility and we chop the end off when we talk to our colleagues and we talk about access no matter why. And that leads us into the next slide. On the next slide, you're going to see that we want to reframe Universal Design for Learning. Instead of talking first or only about people with disabilities. Now, I have to be careful when I say this because I am an advocate for people with learning barriers of all kinds. But when we talk first or only about people with disabilities, other folks think, oh, that's only for 10% of people, or it's just for those people over there. When we talk about our students on their mobile devices, we talk about our students who have work responsibilities, family responsibilities, military deployed learners, anybody who has a barrier. The real barrier in higher education today is not distance in distance ed, it's time. People are battling against the clock. And so on your screen, you see a couple of folks who have gone down to Orlando and they paid the extra money to go fight a lightsaber battle against Darth Vader and the stormtroopers, except the one guy's on his phone. So if we can give people 20 more minutes for studying or interaction that they didn't have before, that can be the difference between I'm struggling and I'm keeping up. On the next slide, you're going to see that we want to also talk about Universal Design for Learning, both in terms of the neuroscience, multiple means of engagement, multiple means of representing information, multiple means of giving people choices about how they demonstrate their skills and actions. But we also want to say this is kind of secret knowledge, because when we talk about neuroscience to most of our faculty colleagues, they kind of glaze over. And so in the book, we want to offer a radical suggestion, which is on the next slide, that Universal Design for Learning is really just +1 thinking. This isn't the be-all, end-all. There's lots of expert-level Universal Design for Learning to come, but this is a really good way to get people into the first step of UDL. think about all the interactions that you have, your students have with the materials, yes, but with each other, with the instructor, with the wider world. Every time there's an interaction, think of one more way to have that interaction, and you're going to be in a good UDL mind frame. And if you flip to the next slide, when we ask our faculty colleagues, oh, well, you can do all these UDL things, they say, but I have 82 2-minute videos and you're telling me I have to caption them yesterday? And then they suffer from analysis paralysis and they don't even start. So what we also do is we try to help to reduce that barrier in people's minds. Ask your faculty colleagues, where do your students always ask the same question? Where do they always get things wrong on the tests or the quizzes and forces you to do reteaching? And where do they always ask for alternative explanations? Hey, gee, Professor Tom, that was great, but I still don't get it. Those are the places to start with +1 thinking, with universal design for learning. And it's a really good way to get people to see UDL as something that's manageable, something they can put their brains around. But the next slide is an important point from the book. Don't train just the faculty. If we expect faculty members and instructors alone to shoulder the burden of doing inclusive design, we're not going to move beyond the 10 to 15% of instructors who are doing inclusive design right now. We need to train our IT areas, our media services folks, anybody who supports faculty members in good inclusive UDL practices, so that when the faculty member comes to somebody and says, hey, media services, I really want to do lecture capture, their response is, awesome, we'll send a student and a camera into your classroom and we'll help you chunk it up into 4-minute segments, and we'll help you with the captions, because that's just what we do here at our college or university. And then on the next slide, you're going to see as well, we give you some secret boss training. How do you talk to a president or a provost, the person who has the purse strings, who can release time, money, people to help you with phase 1 of your UDL project? By the way, don't call it a pilot. That means that it'll be over. Phase one of your UDL stuff. And we tell you how to talk in terms that they understand. And we show you the research that leads to UDL principles when they get applied, leading to greater student persistence, satisfaction, and retention. And we go into that in depth in the book. And the last piece, which is on our next slide, is we want everybody who reads this book to become secret, sneaky evangelists. We want you to be able to talk to your colleagues in ways that they will see benefit to themselves and to their learners when they're adopting UDL principles. And so we give you a roadmap and some scripting to help you do just that. And as a little bonus for everybody, on my last slide, if you go to wvupress.com, you can save 25% on a pre-order of the book with this special code just for our UDL-IRN friends. It's Reach Teach, and you can put that in when you do your pre-order, and nobody on this webinar should be paying full price for this book. So Kirsten and I are really excited to have this book coming out on November 1st, 2018. And I'll turn it back over to our host, and I'm looking forward to the Q&A and learning about our other books here on the webinar too. Thank you.
Okay, I'm giving it over to Brian. Brian, do you have a follow-up question?
Well, you know, I don't really have any questions out there in the Twitterverse that are really popping right now. But what I really like, it's more a comment than anything else, Tom. What I really like is that you've gone step by step and you kind of laid out this really like this bureaucratic pipeline of finding a way to find some progressive education within it, right? And that phrasing, a lot of people have retweeted that phrasing, don't call it a pilot. And I think that those two things combined are worth the price of the book, right? Being able to navigate through that pipeline system and be able to get the people who are oftentimes in the gatekeepers of that pipeline as allies on your side and moving forward. I think that's a brilliant way to lay out that piece.
It's one of the reasons that we wrote the book, Brian, is that there are a lot of folks who can help you with, here's what UDL is, here's how to implement it at the level of one course. And so what we wanted to do was take you through the book from what is UDL, Here's the official definition. Here's how to do it in miniature. Here's how to do it in one course. Here's how to adopt it as part of a program. And then here's how to get your senior leaders on board and adopt it outside of just courses in things like the student service areas and make it part of what your campus does. It's amazing how few of your colleagues will scream, academic freedom, I want to do it my own way, when they're being supported to get multiplicity into all of the kinds of interactions that happen across campus. And that's what we really want to do. And that's why we want to talk about creating evangelists, helping people to spread the word. And this book contains not only just the stories, but it's also the forms, the formats, the rubrics, all the little tools that you will want to use. And we're also telling you those stories of the colleges and universities who've made it stick and how they did it. So definitely looking forward to the rest of the Q&A, and thank you.
You know, I just one more thing. I'm not before we move on. So Thomas, this lays it out really nice if I'm working through a university. But is there can I use some of these things if I'm working in my school district, or in a large school district, or a purely bureaucratic heavy school district? Are there tips and tricks in there for me?
The secret here is that we wrote this specifically for a higher education audience. True. Because there are a lot of books that address the K-12 school district audience. At the same time, almost none of what we're saying is something brand new or completely different. So if you're thinking about your district administrator, your school board, your building principal, and you're trying to make those arguments, the chapters in our book will help you there as well.
Brother, that's what I was looking for. I was trying to lead you down that path, and you took it. So I appreciate it, man, because as soon as you start saying forms and how to get through it, I'm like, ooh, I know some districts that are pretty happy with their forms. So or need to find a new way to do those. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
Splendid. Thanks.
So Thomas, I didn't mean to cut you off, brother. Why don't you jump on in?
Oh, no worries. Hey, everybody, this is Tom. I wanted to take Patty's idea and take it down 3 notches, actually. And one of the questions that I saw on Twitter and also here in the chat is, how do you get people to take a first step? And I hear in all 3 of the books that we're talking about tonight, here's how you take the first step. And then all of us are pointing out to where you can go to make it an iterative process, to make it moving from just finding out to proficient to expert level. And what I love about, especially Elizabeth, when you were talking in your book about with co-teaching being a model that doesn't change what we teach, how we teach it, doesn't change the level of rigor, doesn't change really our approach. What it does is it changes how we think about the interactions that are taking place between all of us as instructors, between us and our colleagues at our schools and institutions, and then between us and our learners. And that's really what it's all about. And if I had to take any lesson away from the conversation that we're having tonight, it's for everybody who's watching the recording and everybody who's here on the live webinar, go back and start thinking not about the content, but about the process. And I really love that thread through all 3 of our books. Hi, everybody. This is Tom. And my last word is, here's the book. And I want to say thank you very much for having us, for the UDL-IRN, and to all of you who are here on the live webinar and those of you who are watching the recording later on. All of us authors, we speak, we consult. We'd love to continue the conversation with you. You can find us on social media. You can find us at our websites. We're not just our books. We are part of the conversation and we want to hear from you. So definitely reach out. And even if it's just a 20-minute phone call, we'd love to hear your stories. So thank you all.
Great. And with that, we just want to say thank you. Thank you again to our panelists. Thank you to the IRN team, and especially thank you to our participants, both here tonight with us and those that will watch later and those who are watching on YouTube. We do appreciate your constant enthusiasm for the IRN and the work that we do, and for doing good things for kids. So everybody have a wonderful night, and we will see you in September. Everyone, great back to school start. I hope things start well and crescendo from there.